This is Matthew Cratter from Trade University, and today I want to talk a little bit more about central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, in particular, how they are coming to the UK. And for those of you, there's still a few of you who think this is a conspiracy theory. I think you're going to be quite surprised by what you see in this video, so be sure to watch it all the way to the end. And I'm calling this the CBDC dragon descending on the UK. This is something we've been talking about for a few months. Here's a video from back in October of 2022 when I talk about the new UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's banking background, his ties to Infosys, and his support for CBDCs. There's actually a video I linked to there. I believe that video has been taken down where he talks about how CBDC he is. Well, this is really beginning to come to a head in the UK. As we said, CBDCs, central bank digital currency. It's a currency that's issued and controlled by the central bank, and it's usually going to be in blockchain form. It's going to be much easier to monitor than just the digital dollar or the digital pound. And so it would be issued by whatever country's central bank, whether it's the Fed or the ECB, People's Bank of China in China, Bank of Japan in Japan, and of course the Bank of England in the UK. Now, CBDCs make it very easy for a government or a central bank to track your income, your spending patterns, exactly what you buy with every penny or every pound, and to exert their control through targeted stimulus. So, for example, they could send stimmy checks just to people who have a certain income or live in a certain zip code or a certain area, as well as having targeted penalties, financial penalties, and it's a very easy way to deplatform any enemies of the state. So this is the kind of tool that authoritarians have been drooling over for many centuries, and it's really finally here, and I want to draw attention to it and make people realize how toxic, how dangerous these things are. CBDCs are a central pillar of the coming digital prison, which is going to happen if we don't fight it really strongly. This includes control of the money, as well as biometric tracking, as we're already seeing in China, social credit scores, and movement controls as well. Now, the real difficult thing for citizens and residents here is going to be there's going to be no more cash, no more bank accounts, no more credit cards. Everything will be done through your central bank crypto wallet. And unless you have Bitcoin, the only money that you're going to have is going to be stored inside of this crypto wallet that's owned and controlled by your local central bank. So if you didn't do a certain medical procedure, your CBDC savings account could immediately get dinged 5%. And again, it's not really an account. It's going to be more of an address in your wallet, in your CBDC wallet. Did your great-great-great-great-grandfather own slaves? In that case, your CBDC savings account might get dinged, for example, 10% for reparations. Did you vote for the wrong political candidate in 2016? In that case, 10, 20 years from 2016, this may become a very politically toxic thing to have done, and your CBDC savings account will get dinged 5%. Have you hit your monthly meat allowance? In that case, the grocery store will not accept your CBDC to buy meat. You're not going to have a credit card. There's not going to be physical cash. And so this could become a very bad situation. It could give authoritarians and the quote-unquote so-called elites much more power than they should ever have. At this point in time, at that point in history, it's going to be a good idea to be friends with a farmer or rancher and have some Bitcoin on hand as well. This is the big problem with CBDCs. They allow micro-control of you by your government. And I would say that some countries are more at risk than others, as we're going to see. If you're finding this video helpful so far, I just ask you to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and so we can have the YouTube algorithm work to get videos like this out to warn more and more people. So as I said, some countries are more at risk than others. Countries where you're not allowed to even defend yourself. Not only is there very strict gun control in the UK, but it's reached a point where you can't even use kitchen knives or carry them around. If you're found carrying a knife in public, a court's going to decide whether you had a good reason to carry it or not. And this is not just if you use it to impose violence on someone, just carrying it around. So this is the kind of country that I think is much more susceptible to CBDCs and to government control, because there's really no physical way for people to defend themselves and at least fight the war on that front. I think this is a very nice meme that shows one way that CBDCs are going to come into the system. They're going to be obviously very convenient. You can have everything on your phone. There's going to be a U.S. government or a Federal Reserve app on your iPhone or other smartphone, and it's going to provide convenience. Of course, the problem is there's going to be zero privacy, social credit scores, every transaction is documented, access to your money can be turned off at any moment, centralization, etc. So this is, I think, a pretty good meme to maybe share with normie friends who don't understand how bad this could get. Now I want to share with you the really crazy thing that someone sent me and that prompted me to make this video. There's an actual job opening at the Treasury in the UK, and the position is head of central bank digital currency, head of CBDC. It's still not too late to apply. You can apply before the 7th of February of this year. It's going to be based probably in London, and you can scroll down here and see what the job description is and what they're going to be working on. If we scroll down here, we can see that the successful candidate will be responsible for leadership of His Majesty's Treasury's work on a potential digital pound, a UK central bank digital currency. And we can see here as well that the salary they're offering is somewhere between 61,000 and 67,000 pounds. This made me a little surprised. I didn't realize that selling your soul to the devil really doesn't pay as well as it used to. We know that Faust got 24 years of pleasure in exchange for selling his soul to Mephistopheles. I think perhaps I'm missing the fact as well that if you get this job, you can just print yourself some extra CBDC pounds to supplement your salary, because I think working on CBDCs is going to be probably about as close to the money printer as you can get in a job. If you're in the UK, if you qualify, I would say consider applying, because I think it'd be pretty funny if a Bitcoiner or a secret Bitcoiner got this job. But the CBDCs are definitely coming. It's just a question of time. It's probably not going to be in the next year or two, but certainly by the end of this decade, I would expect to see CBDCs in the UK, and it's going to be a real struggle not to have them in the US as well. Now, the only alternative to CBDCs is Bitcoin. It's not a state captured coin like Ethereum, where in the last 30 days, 67% have enforced US Treasury OFAC compliance by omitting transactions that would violate OFAC. So this is a completely captured cryptocurrency. The only alternative to CBDCs is going to be Bitcoin. It's not going to be physical cash, and it's not going to be silver coins or gold coins. Those could work on a very local level, but they'd be very difficult to move over great distances or to put in your pocket if you need to flee the country and move to a friendlier jurisdiction that does not have CBDCs. The only alternative to CBDCs is Bitcoin, not a centralized black box like Tether, USDT, not shiny yellow rocks that are very difficult to flee a country with. And this is something I've pointed out before, but I always want to point it out. Eventually, Bitcoin will be priced as a necessity, not a luxury. And you can think about this. What is the proper price for one Bitcoin in a country that has been locked down by CBDCs, where there's no more cash or bank accounts or credit cards? And I would say the equivalent, as I've said many times on this channel, is it's the equivalent price as a glass of water in the desert. It's not a question of price, it's just a question of whether you're even going to be able to get any before it's too late and you die of physical thirst or you die of financial thirst. CBDCs are already being rolled out across the globe, in particular China, which really loves this sort of totalitarian control. Even the US has plans for one. You can watch this video that talks about a pilot CBDC project that was done at the Boston Fed in partnership with MIT in August of 2020. I think it's going to be a little more difficult to roll these out in the US, but they're definitely something we're going to need to fight for. We can already see late last year in 2022, we saw that Nigeria was trying to accelerate this transition to a CBDC by limiting the amount of cash that you could pull out of an ATM or bank and trying to onboard everyone onto the CBDC. This is ultimately how this is going to play out. You're going to be, your access to other forms of payment are going to be restricted, and it's quite likely this will be paired with some sort of checks or stimulus checks in order to get people to use their new digital wallets from the Fed. So this is something we have to keep our eye on. I think here's another good meme that you can share with people who want a very simple version of this. CBDCs give more power to the state and less power to you. Bitcoin gives more power to you and less power to the state. And CBDCs really are a walking advertisement or advertisement for Bitcoin. Only Bitcoin can slay the CBDC dragon, whether it's the UK or whether it's elsewhere. And I keep resorting to these mythological references like St. George and the Dragon and King Arthur and Mordred, but I do think this is the modern battle that we're fighting. And if we think of it in these terms, it can be a little bit more fun. But the real questions can be by the end of this decade, not what the price of Bitcoin is, but do you have any Bitcoin? Because you're going to need it to transact unless you want to be completely controlled by your state or your central bank. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.